So thank you for joining us today. My name is Caroline Healy. I'm the CEO from We Are Savvy. There's some lovely familiar faces on the screen, which is fantastic. We have started running bi-monthly webinars really targeting insurance brokers and the insurance market, I suppose, to share some of our experience and expertise in insurance marketing, and hopefully you can take some tips away from these things. As I mentioned, we will have questions at the end and happy to take questions, so pop anything that you have into the chat. We are a small business. We do have experience and specialisation in insurance marketing. I have worked within IAG. We've done work over the last 5 years with ANZVAR, CBN, insurance group brokers. So we certainly keep our hand and brains within the insurance network, but we are a marketing and brand business. We started the business 5 years ago and work across insurance, not-for-profit and consumer services. A small savvy team full of good marketing prowess, and we like to say we pack a punch for a small team. We are part of the Steadfast Preferred Supplier Panel Network. We do have relationships with NEBA and certainly keep our ear to the ground when it comes to what's happening within insurance. Certainly today, though, that's enough about us. Our small team, Marco's on the call with me as well today. And but really what we want to talk about with you today is some practical tips around how do you drive those end of financial year sales. We sort of have 8 weeks, and these are tips, look, you can use at any time of the year, but we have 8 weeks towards the end of the financial year. And I know for many of us, we want to drive sort of those sales targets and really hit a good end of that financial year. So today we'll be sort of talking to you about targeting the best buyers, communicating strategically, and sharing an offer to help drive those sales. So our first tip really here is about targeting the right buyers. And really when time is of the essence, like in that lead up to the end of the financial years and you've got sales targets to meet, it's really important to make sure your marketing efforts are really focused and tailored. Focusing on who are the best buyers. So who are they? Where do you find them? I suppose is the question here. First off, I would suggest that you connect and engage with people who've bought from you before. They might be lapsed clients, they might be clients that you've worked with or people you've worked with when you worked in other businesses, and other people in your professional or social networks. So people who've bought with you before, worked with you before, who know you somewhat. Because these people already know you, you can skip that awareness building phase. So it really shortens that, I suppose, business development cycle, and that you can skip that need to sort of basically make them aware of who you are. You can jump right into how you can help them, suggesting solutions for their issues, or how they grab an opportunity. People who know you are also more open to having a conversation. So more likely to respond to your email, more likely to respond and pick up the phone or return a phone call, from you. They're more open to having those conversations because they more than likely trust you as well. So this really shortens that process, which is really key when, say, we've only got another 8 weeks to the end of the financial year, and you need to sort of spend less marketing effort on that awareness building. You're already through the front door, so you need to just continue that conversation. The second point, I think, is obvious for all of you here on the call. Yes, you should be targeting people whose renewals are up for review in the next 2 months. I would also look ahead to Q1. Really make sure you're communicating with those people whose renewals are up for in July, August, and September. Encourage those potentially to review their insurances now. They don't need to wait until then. They might want to change their insurances. They might want to look at different products or services. Even if they don't renew now, you've at least done great groundwork for that Q1. So you're looking forward to also having a stronger quarter in Q1. These current customers will be more receptive to upsell or cross-sell, offering risk management services or offering different insurance products. So, encouraging people to do that review earlier not, in the 4 weeks before their insurance is actually, up and running. The last piece here is around targeting marketing towards people and businesses that are experiencing significant change. For example, the building and construction sector, at the moment, if they happen to be one of the areas that you focus, they're a sector that's in quite a lot of turmoil, facing a lot of change, supply issues, costs, workforce issues, worksite thefts, and obviously we're seeing more and more building businesses that are closing down. So it's more important now than ever that they have the right level of insurance. There's a lot of media scrutiny for builders and building companies, and also a lot of consumer scrutiny if consumers are purchasing from builders for renovations, home buildings, whatever that might be. Another sector to think about that's going through a lot of change at the moment is retail. And retail particularly is starting to experience, and will continue most likely to experience an increased theft because of cost of living pressures. So when we see cost of living pressures happen, we see crime go up, and one of that's theft. So thinking about retail operators. So if you specialize again within the retail sector, talking to that point and talking to retailers about, not waiting to review their insurances until their renewal's up, but actually doing it now, doing it regularly, doing it every 6 months. They need to think about their stock, their cash, their data theft, as theft keeps rising. And obviously we're seeing a lot more in the data theft space as well. So that third sector is really tapping into that insights for the sectors that you work with. And I'm sure, if it's hospitality or, professional services, there are different insights that you have, really looking at those sectors where they are experiencing significant change and tapping into that idea and driving action for those different clients. So our tip 1 is really about targeting the best buyers. So don't be focusing on potentially lots of people who've never heard of you before, or trying to enter into new markets when time is of the essence, but actually look at, the existing portfolio. How do you grow that? People who you've worked with before, and where do you have some expertise and specialization? Following on from the first tip is tip 2, which is around being strategic with your communications. And this is really ensuring your messages are relevant for here and now. Again, when time is of the essence, it's really important to be relevant. You don't have time to build your message. So be relevant with what is going on with your clients, and making sure that that comes across all of your communications, and that you align and connect your communications. So first off here really is about sharing content that speaks to the issues or the opportunities, as I mentioned, the pain points. It could be the rising cost of doing business. It could be an opportunity of clients who have unspent budget towards the end of the financial year, get on top of their insurances, get ahead for the next year and spend that budget. Don't be afraid as well in your communications, particularly your headlines. If you're doing a social media post, if you're doing an EDM, if whatever you might be doing, don't be afraid to be emotive in your language. Using strong language, being emotive, that helps you get noticed, and people will notice you more. We all know that insurance still continues to be a grudge purchase for many, so we have to show the emotion and have to be emotive within the communications that we have. With your communications as well, ensure that you have a strong, visible call to action. That's your ask. Really, it's about telling people what you want them to do. And we really need to tell our audiences all the time what we want them to do. Do we want them to click on a link to renew automatically? Do we want them to make an appointment with you? Click on a link, make an appointment. Do we want them to pick up the phone and call? Do we want them to refer a friend? So really think, what is that call to action that you want? It is essential that all communications, not just in sort of the drive into the sales push, but all communications you have out with any clients should have a really strong call to action, and guiding customers and potential audiences to what it is you actually want them to do, so that you can help. This action helps to create sales leads for you. I would recommend that you do include a call to action at least twice in your communications. Whether that be, if it's a social media post, you might have a call to action in the tile as well as the post. If you have an email, I would have a call to action in the middle of the email as well as reiterating at the end of the email, because you're really wanting to drive people to take action. And drive them that step closer to making a decision and entering that buying process, that business development process. So the messaging is one part of communications being strategic, but in order for communications to be really strategic, then you also need to think about the coordination of communications and the repetition of communications. Repetition, people need to see a message about 6 times before they decide to take action. So we do recommend, multiple channels, and coordinate your messages that you push that same message out. If you're wanting to promote an offer, drive business, send an email, follow up with an SMS message, have a LinkedIn post that reiterates that, and repeat that cycle. So, think really through that repetition and that cycle of communications, and use lots of different channels. Video is also great, and video for things like LinkedIn, using your mobile phone, and really just creating that authentic video of you is absolutely acceptable and fine. And actually, sometimes it's much better than some sort of polished video. So you don't need to spend lots and lots of money on creating video assets for social media. They need to be authentic, is more important there. So really thinking about how you execute your communications, making sure that you use multiple channels and that they're aligned. Also, you need to think, if you're driving people to your website, make sure that they find the same information on your website. They find more information on your website. If you're asking them to call your reception number, make sure your receptionist or whoever's answering the phone knows what to do with that call, knows how to have that conversation. So make sure your communications are connected as well. So our last tip in really driving sales in the lead up to the end of the financial year is around sharing an offer, and creating a sense of urgency. We've got 8 weeks. It's a time bound period of time. We're gonna take that, and we want to really drive activity. So there's lots of ways that you can create that sense of urgency and drive an offer. Some of these are easier to do for insurance companies than others, but there's a range of different things that you could consider, from competitions, giveaways, or special offers sort of there. You could run a referral campaign, refer a business to us, and if they sign up, you have a chance to win something. Share with us why you love doing work with us, running some social media competitions, inviting things like that, inviting an audience, to an event that creates an opportunity for you to get in front of somebody, have conversations, see where their thinking's at, and really drive some of those business development conversations. So really thinking about, how you can create an offer, and share an offer with your audiences. And in doing that, in sharing an offer, you must create that sense of urgency, and that's really important. So, thinking about that, you need to think about something that is financially viable. So, what's something that you can do, an offer that isn't going to cause you losses, obviously. So, do your maths before you roll out an offer. Set a deadline. That's really key in creating that sense of urgency. We want to do business before the 30th of June. We've got a time frame, set that deadline. Don't miss out there. Also think about making things exclusive, or it's a one-off event, for a short time only, for my Steadfast brokers only. Because I'm on the Steadfast panel, I might do a special offer out to those people. So who are the people that I could do an exclusive offer to? So think about that. That might be an offer in your local community. And I'll share an example of that in a minute. Also, driving action, through that offer, you've always got to be, and this comes back to that call to action that I mentioned in the previous tip. You want to drive action. It is very much act now, don't miss out, last chance. And again, they are all sorts of terms and thoughts that it's around driving emotion and driving action through that. Also provide some of the benefits and the value that's associated with your offer. Why choose this offer? What makes you unique? And how is it different, potentially from competitors? So a practical, example might be something like if you are operating in a community. Ian is in Newcastle. There's a community there, and if you've got a connection out with a club, a sports club, a not-for-profit, how can you support that community? If you operate in communities that are quite socially driven, tap into that socially driven piece. Tap into that social purpose and thinking about that. So, here there's just an example on the screen about, this is just a, rough mock-up of a social tile or something, but you could connect in with that local football team and talk and ask them for their network and their members list, if you've already got a relationship there, and really provide some sort of offer. If you were looking to already make a donation towards the end of the year because of tax reasons or so on, you might want to get some tax benefits of making a donation before the end of the financial year. So you could tie that in with an offer. So here what you can see is, obviously you need to make the dollar figure financially viable. You might give a donation of a smaller amount for home insurance versus a larger amount for business insurance, depending on what your portfolio looks like. So thinking that it's financially viable. Obviously, the benefits here are we're supporting our local club, we're supporting our local community. Setting a deadline, do this before the 30th of June to drive that action and to take action. It's exclusive, it's about us, it's about our local community, our local broker, our local sports club, really playing on that local aspect. If you're working in a community and driving that action, call us today there. So there's a practical example about how an offer can come to life and creating a sense of urgency around that offer to help drive sales and drive, at least interest and people picking up the phone and talking with you. In doing that, I thought I would share a special offer with you all on the team, which is on the call. So I've run a webinar, which is one of our ideas around, okay, how do we create a sense of urgency, and create an opportunity to talk to people? We've run a webinar. And now at that webinar, I can offer a discount to the people who are on a call. And for us, that's about 7 months social media for the price of 6. So, that's the offer that we can provide you on our call today. If you want to sign up before the 30th of June, you can start your new financial year really with having professional social media managed for you. So just another example, and it is an offer that is real. I'm happy to give that to anyone on the call. I'm not just sharing that as an example, but really just trying to highlight to you the examples here of creating an offer, that really can help drive action and create sales leads as you go through that. And then you can see here things like the strategic communications that are coming in, the tips that I talked through about. And obviously, the first tip around targeting the best buyers. We're talking to people who already have an interest in insurance and marketing. So if we look at those 3 tips, the summary is target people who are, I suppose, open to having conversations with you, who are potentially your best buyers and your best source of revenue. Also then look at how you strategically communicate using that emotive language, using information that is relevant and pertinent to the audience and the time, and making sure there's a call to action and lots of different communications. And then thirdly, creating and sharing an offer with a sense of urgency. So these are the 3 tips that I would give to you, and I suggest to you to really think about where you're focusing your marketing efforts in the next 8 weeks. I'm happy to take some questions. So while you think about those questions, I did say we would wrap up on time, but while you want to think about those questions and pop them into the chat, I will let you know that we run webinars every 2 months. So you can get out your phone and scan the QR code if you're interested in outsourcing your marketing and need to understand how you have better relationships. And this really could apply with any organization that you might be outsourcing. It doesn't necessarily have to be your marketing, but how you have good relationships and set up good relationships with outsourcing. So if anyone wants to register for that webinar in July, please do so, and we'll be advertising that back through LinkedIn and so on. But really hoping to answer some questions from you all around our topic today and our questions today. So you can either enter something in the chat, or if anyone wants to come off mute, feel free to come off mute and answer a question. Ask a question, I'll answer the question.
I don't really have a question, Caroline, but any broker who's worth the salt should realise where their existing portfolio lies and what they can get out of it. I mean, we for one, I've been doing this for 36 years, and we for one, for a very, very long time, have I suppose, a general philosophy that if you're going to spend $1 in insurance, you spend it with us. So that goes right through from your runabout insurance through to your professional indemnity, your life insurance, your business insurance, everything. So, probably about 80% of our clients, we do absolutely 100% of everything for them. And there's very few that we don't do that for. I suppose it gets around, maybe for other brokers who don't do it is, you're right. I mean, you have to get in the ability to actually get into your client's mind that you are the best option for them to go to, because you already have that trust. And I learned a long time ago that once you do take on a client, they've already got your trust. So that obtaining that other business is sensationally easy. We never have a problem with it, and we blatantly ask for it. We don't go through all the formalities of it. We just come out and ask. We just say, send me your renewals, just do it. Yeah. And 9.5 times out of 10 they do it.
Absolutely, and that's great, Ian. I think you've got to drive that upsell and that cross sell for all of your existing, that's the cream, the cream of the crop with your existing portfolio, and driving, asking for business, having that call to action is just so important in every day, the way that you do business every day, for sure.
Well, people get scared about it. I find when you speak to brokers, they get scared about asking that because they feel a bit psychologically, they feel they've already had them spend money with you. If you ask for more money, people are going to get a bit sort of antsy about it, and that's the opposite case. We find that once you've already got them, they're quite happy to spend more and more money with you.
Well, absolutely, particularly when you're showing value of, yes, we think we recommend X insurance policy because you've got this problem and that's going to help you with that problem. Or, if you take Y insurance policy, then, that's going to protect you from something. It's not that you're asking them for money for nothing. You're actually selling a service and selling a product with that service. So, and showing the value in those things. And I think it's, it's so important to show the value of insurance and what it is that you sell and deliver, to the different clients.
Yeah. And the other analogy we use to people is, if you've got an accountant, people say, well, yeah, I have. Is how many have you got? And so we've got one. And that applies to an insurance broker as well. And we use that analogy, and you can use it with anything, with an engineer or anything. People only have one professional service they go to. They don't use multiple unless you're a huge corporation who has different facets to something where they do need various multiple levels of providers. So it's and pushing that fact that, of course, that we're as important as an accountant or a solicitor of business as well.
Absolutely, yeah, showing that expertise. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments from the group? I'm conscious I did promise to end on time. I'm happy to take questions though, or other comments or if people have tried something that they've seen work well in the past.
Google's good.
Yep, Google's good. Make sure that your website's, ranks, make sure it's SEO, make sure that you, can be found as well. That's important. And you've set up things like Google My Business. If you haven't done those sorts of things, make sure people can find you easily, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, I'm conscious that it's not 12:59 and I promised to be done at 1 o'clock. So please reach out to myself. You can certainly give me a call, ask any other questions. Again, this QR code will save my details. So if you're ready to call at any time, please call. If you've got any marketing questions, we're more than happy to help you out. And thanks everyone for joining us today. Appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see you again next time.
Thank you
for joining.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.